Hey, my name is Tom Gerbrick, and this is a final video of what I learned in our biblical counseling class. This class has definitely shifted my perspective on counseling in general. Going into this class, I feel like I did not have much of a depth of understanding of what counseling was. I know many people who have had great experiences with counseling, and in my youth ministry program, I definitely was encouraged multiple times to refer people to professional counseling and not to just try to do it as a pastor. And so coming into this class with that, I think I've felt like counseling is this professional thing that is done in an office behind closed doors with these certain techniques that have been proven to, impact people's lives and change the way that they think and things like that. But this class was a big shift from that. I think this class, one of the biggest shifts, one of the things that really stood out to me was in the beginning as the class defined what a counselor is and what biblical counseling is. It's a big shift as counseling is seen as something that is done every day. That counseling is when you give advice to somebody who needs help, essentially. And so all of that is counseling. And biblical counseling is doing this from the Bible. It's not done in an office necessarily. As I came into this class, I had a lot of these presuppositions about counseling. And as I've gone through this class, a lot of those have shifted. I feel like I've never really seen myself as a counselor, although I often give advice to teenagers and college students. Even some of our staff team give advice to them and counsel to them on certain things. I would have, before this course, very much differentiated those two ideas, that counseling is for professionals in their office, and what we're doing out there is giving people wisdom, giving them advice, encouraging them to go to the Lord and Scripture. And many of those things were in line with biblical counseling, but I would have just said that I'm giving advice, not that I'm counseling somebody in that way. So that's the thing that stood out to me the most in this class. It's something that I've reflected on throughout this course and has shifted my perspective on what counseling is. And there's a lot of practical implications from that. One of these was kind of the key point of my essay. This past semester, I led a group of college students. We get our student leaders, these juniors and seniors who are leading our college life groups. We get them together weekly to meet with a staff member. And I had a frustration this school year where oftentimes during this group, they would give each other advice, or they'd talk about these situations that they were in, and all of their advice was just their opinion. And I think it annoyed me because I disagreed with a lot of it. I felt like many of their opinions were not actually good advice. But then I also caught myself just giving my opinion. And so in that moment, I challenged myself this past semester, and I challenged them of, hey, don't just use your opinion that hopefully is informed by the Bible, which I would say is like somebody who's been a Christian for 15 years and vocational ministry for 10 of those. Like, my opinion is shaped significantly by Scripture. However, I often take some of those things and then just sprinkle in my own thoughts and give my own advice there. But during that, I was challenged to give more biblical advice, to look to Scripture. And I challenged those guys for a few weeks. I said, all right, you're not allowed to share, you're not allowed to comment and give your opinion unless you have Scripture tied into it. And so I challenged them in that, but I didn't realize what I really was doing was challenging them to biblical counseling, to not just share our opinions, but to share Scripture as we try to help one another and to see things from God's perspective. And so that's something I'm really looking forward to. I think that is one way that I look to take this class and apply it, is to challenge our church and our students and our staff team even to give biblical counsel, to not just share opinions, but to speak from the Word, not just the wisdom that God has granted you, but to actually use the Word in every situation and to run there first and to really mine the Scriptures for what applies to that situation. So, it's been a great course, and I appreciate what I've learned in here and look forward to applying it.